Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. You know it's a big fight when dozens of different stories are flying around left, right and centre. Genuine stories, different angles, not just versions of the same theme. And I can't obviously get to them all, but I do want to cover about 6 or 7 things of interest that are connected to this huge unification matchup, March 31st, Principality Stadium, Anthony Joshua versus Joseph Parker. Love it. So before I get to a clip of Joseph Parker revealing his inner thoughts on having to talk trash, we know it's not really his thing, I'll quickly run through a few other things you can expect in the video. So a quick clip of what Parker expects in camp. Tyson Fury, will he actually be on the ring walk? Kevin Barry's thoughts on legacy, the best of the naysayers, and this is going to get both respective fighters' fans up in arms because there's some strong stuff there. Lennox Lewis, he's dropped his thoughts on the unification. A couple of clips of Anthony Joshua talking about how much lighter he is, and it's interesting stuff. And a quick update on David Price potentially being on the undercard. But first, Joseph Parker, he has revealed to a New Zealand radio station, Niu FM, that he started talking trash because he simply just had to.
We had to sort of do a few things, safety things, but now that the fight's happening, now the fight's locked in, it's back to the normal person I am. Those things that some of the things that I said and some of the way that I acted, it wasn't really me, and I felt uncomfortable doing it. But now that the fight's locked in, we've pieced it out with each other, and we're so excited to get in the ring and to beat each other up.
I think it was clear to many of us that several weeks ago when negotiations started heating up that Joseph Parker, he was clearly uncomfortable being in the spotlight, talking trash, being used as a prop by David Higgins, and generally he just was feeling a bit awkward about what was going on. You could see it in the couple of press conferences that they held in Auckland. He didn't look at ease. And it does run counter to who he is and what we've seen in the past. I mean, it's even led him to say things, you know, like Joshua being the king of steroids. And he's already taken that back, said he wished he had never said it. Given he's admitted it's not really him and he feels uncomfortable doing it, I really hope that during the week of the fight that the real Joseph Parker, he is on display. Not the version where he looks and sounds awkward delivering trash talk that in itself, some of it's not even that good. So David Higgins, he can go and do it. You know, that's another story. And I believe he will be firing up again at the appropriate time to generate some headlines. So we've still got a couple of months to go. I'm sure he will be popping up, especially in the week of the fight. You can expect it. Parker, he's also told Television New Zealand of his hopes for training camp about what he'll actually be doing.
A lot of running, a lot of pads, a lot of bag work, a lot of skipping, a lot of hill sprints, a lot of yoga to loosen up the muscles and to loosen up the body, and a lot of sleep.
Joseph Parker, he has suggested in the last day or two he might even try to get Tyson Fury by his side for the ring walk on March 31st. But it would seem, judging by Fury's own Twitter account, that he's tied up elsewhere. Check this out on screen. But he has, though, weighted in on Parker's chances. He's quoted as saying, "If I'm honest, I fancy Parker," and that's been gospel. He's young and ambitious. He's got fast hands, he hits hard, and he fights excellent against opponents who stand still and don't move. Decent assessment from Fury, but although I wouldn't expect him to be waving the flag for Joshua, given the sort of fractious relationship that they do have. Kevin Barry, meanwhile, Joseph Parker's trainer, he has weighted in on Joseph Parker needing a career-defining win. So BoxingScene.com quotes Barry as saying, "We knew this day was going to come, provided both guys stayed undefeated. Joseph is a historian and knows this fight is about his place in history. He'll give every single piece of sweat, an ounce of blood in his body to be the best." I guess I would sort of put a caveat there. History can be a very cruel mistress, and someone like Charles Martin, he's gone down in the annals of history as someone that was a champion but then ended up getting beaten soundly by Anthony Joshua. So hopefully we don't see history repeat and that Parker turns up with his best on the night. But not everyone is expecting that to happen, even in Joseph Parker's home country where I live, New Zealand. So New Zealand Hearld sports writer Chris Ratui, and this is going to get some people really up in arms here. He starts with a piece with the headline, why Joseph Parker has already lost to Anthony Joshua. So in it, and I can just see the comment section about to light up here. The Higgins-Parker show has been confused and contrived. The Parker campaign has lacked dignity and, most importantly, common sense. The claims against Joshua, the denigration of his ability, have been made up nonsense about a fighter who beat one of the best, even if Vladimir Klitschko was past his best. It has only got worse in recent days. Later he says, while Higgins appeared surprised by Parker's steroids comment, it is actually Higgins who created the sort of circus which encouraged Parker to play like a clown. If Parker ends up at Joshua's feet at the grandiosely titled Principality Stadium, then much of the blame for this fiasco is going to end up at Higgins' door. And I'm sure some comments are flooding in right now after that, and even more are going to come in after this opinion piece, or this couple of excerpts here from Scott Guilfoyle on BoxingNews24.com. That rails against the behaviour of Anthony Joshua. So it starts with, Anthony Joshua was sounding completely delusional on Tuesday and bragging about himself, saying that it's going to take more than a human to beat him. It's such a bore when a fighter starts having delusions of grandeur. Later, Guilfoyle says, Joshua is sounding like his past wins over an assortment of soft jobs has royally gone to his head. It's so bad when you see a fighter overestimating his own talent based on wins over limited talent. Joshua should be thanking his promoter Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Sport for feeding him so many easy marks in the first 4 years of professional career between 2014 and 2017. Whew. Doesn't hold back there, does he? Lennox Lewis, he has waded into this as well, giving his thoughts on Twitter. So he says, I think the hashtag Joshua Parker fight should be a good one. I like both fighters. I think AJ has all the advantages you would want a fighter to have going in, and that will likely be the difference here. Parker has to fight a smart fight and use his movement to pull this one out. I agree with Lennox on this one. Joshua starts favourite, but Parker can win. And now, Anthony Joshua's weight, ongoing topic of interest. It's something we've been ruminating on for a number of months now since he weighed in at 254 against Carlos Takam. So he is now saying he is much lighter.
I'm 6 kilograms lighter. So strap 2 newborn babies to my back and let me fight 12 rounds. That's how much weight I've taken off.
So if we do the conversion here, 6 kilograms is about 13 pounds. So 2.2 pounds to a kilo. So that would make Joshua about the 240 pound mark right now. So 240, 241. And AJ, he is saying as a result of his modified routines, he's feeling better, sleeping more, and it is going to translate into the ring. Well, so he thinks.
This fight should be the start of being a complete boxer, more relaxed, speed rather than clubbing shots, stepping off, bang, bang. And I think I'm starting to become a complete fighter.
And just before I go, a little bit of news here. We heard that David Price was potentially in the frame for the undercard of the Joshua Parker fight on March 31st, and that could potentially be against Alexander Povetkin. So Eddie Hearn wants to get Povetkin on the card. The opponent could be someone like a David Price. And Price, he says he has accepted the offer, and he'd be mad not to. I heard him say in an interview, given where his career is at, he'd be crazy just to turn it down. So he has a chance if this actually comes through, but I think the majority of us would no doubt favour the Russian. No word from Povetkin himself on whether he's interested, haven't been able to find anything on that, but his promoter has retweeted the news at least, so while they're aware of it, we know this. Povetkin, he is likely to be made the mandatory challenger in either the WBA or WBO at some point this year. So those belts are both on the line in this unification. So if they can tempt him to actually coming onto the card, it shapes as an opportunity to warm fans up to a future fight between Povetkin and the winner. Povetkin, he would be a heavy favourite. What do you make of it all? So covered a number of things there, a lot of territory, but there's a lot of things going on right now with this unification match. Drop a comment loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.